pay raise in his budget, and also I know that Jay Barnes sent out some indication that he's supportive of a pay raise as well. It recognizes though that the form and the amount is to be determined.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So move.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any discussion or debate? Or any questions for Mr. Hilpert? Mr. Grant.
I guess this wouldn't be for Mr. Hilpert, and certainly I don't want to put our chamber CEO on the spot. I know we had a brief discussion about pay raise for state employees and the impact of we will see here in Jefferson City. And so, Mr. Allen, I was just wondering if you may have the numbers as it relates to a pay increase for state employees, which we all know that most of the state employees live here in Jefferson City, and the financial impact that would have on us.
Would you want to come forward, Mr. Allen?
That's okay.
Would you give us your name and address?
Randy Allen, 213 Adams Street, Jefferson City Area Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, as a matter of fact, as he was going through that, I was mentally remembering what that number was. The 3% pay raise for employees in Cole County, and I think there's 14,000 plus, I don't know the exact number, means about $17 million of payroll, additional payroll. So that is a substantial amount of money, comparable to R.R. Donnelly, and comparable to the existing business expansions that we've had over the last 7 years. So you can see it has a substantial impact. Based on our ROI formula that we've used before, I think that's about $450,000 of direct city and county income, tax income.
As generated by sales
by that
tax
$17 million.
Property taxes and so
right,
forth.
Sales tax, property tax, so on.
Any additional questions? Mr. Hussey, did I see he asked your question? Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr. Allen. Mr. Schulte.
Thank you. I just, I guess, wanted to voice a concern, and in no way state employees they have been a long time without a pay increase, and my concern I understand the intent of the resolution, and so my question is not with regard to that, but it's my understanding that the county employees during the budget process this year did not receive a pay increase, and we as a council did not issue a resolution to the county requesting that they give their employees a pay increase. And then we were not able to give our city employees a pay increase in this year's budget process. And I guess my concern is, what message does that send to city staff and city employees that we're willing to support a resolution for the state, but yet we were unable to support a pay increase for them in this year's budget? So it's a concern that I just wanted to mention and see if there's any discussion with regard to that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Bray.
I attended the administration committee meeting last week and expressed concern or question about this resolution. Like Sean said, Councilman Schulte, certainly state employees could use a raise. And the state employees have lost a lot of purchasing power, not only to the lack of raises and lack of benefits, and a raise, any raise for state employees would be well worthwhile and much appreciated by the employees, I'm sure, and also by the community, because the sales tax collections. The concern I had, the concern I expressed in the administration committee meeting was, I was recalling, I know that resolutions serve a good purpose when they're used properly and appropriately, and I wondered if we were straying in what I considered proper and appropriate, only because of the most recent resolutions. We had a resolution maybe a couple of months ago, asking the legislators not to smoke in their offices, basically. And we had some people that actually came in from outside the area, to asking us to provide that resolution. I didn't really understand why we were doing that at the time, but, the kids are here, and how do you say no? But then the next resolution after that was to tell the legislature, I guess, that we thought it would be a good idea if they chose to have alcohol in the Capitol and/or MSP. And I really wasn't sure why we were getting involved. Well, and then we didn't really have a chance to know the language or to discuss it. It kind of came up really sudden. But there again, it seemed outside of what I would typically consider our area of interest. And now we're advising the Capitol, the legislature, and the governor's office that we support pay raises for state employees. And of course we do. I do. And I believe we all would. But I don't understand, as a matter of principle, I'm just not comfortable with it out of principle that it seems like we're straying from our area of effect. I don't know that that's what we were elected to do here. So I support the raises, but and I'll probably support this tonight. But the use of resolutions, I would question, and I'll be keeping an eye on the future, I suppose, as to and hoping that we don't take these resolutions too lightly and don't dilute their use and effect. But I expect I'll vote for it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bray. Mr. Hussey.
We did have this conversation at the administration committee, and I certainly understand the perspective that Councilman Bray is coming from. However, the discussion at the committee meeting talked about, making use of our city-paid lobbyist, Mr. Rackers. But we have to have a vehicle to communicate our stance on particular issues to him if we want him to advocate on behalf of the interest of the city. And the resolution process is the process that we have. I understand Councilman Schulte's point. I look at this as an economic development issue as well. It grows the payroll base of our community and such. And so I'm supportive of the resolutions. I think that if it seems like there's an influx of them, we're talking about 3 resolutions in the past few months, basically. It's also the legislative season right now. And so these issues are timely and being considered right now. And so it's going to feel like there's an influx of them at periods of time. But this resolution probably doesn't carry as much weight if we pass it in July because legislative session is over, the budget's been decided upon. And so I know at the administration committee meeting we did discuss dedicating some time at an upcoming work session to further clarifying how the council can communicate our policy perspectives, issues, positions to Mr. Rackers, and how he needs instruction and guidance to lobby most effectively for us, how that works with the Missouri Municipal League stance on issues and such. And so I think that that's wise for us to take some time to do that. In regards to this resolution, I think it sends a good message. Does it tip the scales, and does the General Assembly pass the pay raise? Maybe not. Does it give a little more backing to our local representatives and Mr. Rackers as he lobbies on behalf of the cause? I hope so. I think that it does, and so I'm supportive of the resolution.
Ms. Turgeon.
Thank you. And we will have a work session about the topic. There's kind of 2 different things we're talking about here. One is the resolution that's currently on the table, but the other is just passing resolutions in general. And so we are going to have that as a topic of a future work session that we talked about at Administration Committee, where we can talk about the role of our lobbyist and what our role can be as a council when we have ideas and opinions, and when the lobbyist, when Tom Reckers might need some input or support from us. And I just wanted to mention too, Councilman Schulte, because you brought up some points about other entities and their pay raises, and how can we, what would that be looked at if we voted in favor of this? And so I think you can feel comfortable voting that way because they are different sources of income. The state has different sources than the city does. We have different sales tax. I mean, we retain our funds from and our budget, and our city is a different entity. Even though state government is part of the city, that I think we can feel very comfortable saying that the city, county, and state are all in different situations, and I think we can wholeheartedly, unified council, lend our support to something that would have such a huge economic impact. And certainly county and city raises have economic development impact on our community as well. And at the time we discussed those, we talked about further discussing them down the line, and I think that discussion hopefully would still be open for another topic of another meeting. But for this particular one, the impact is so huge, and so I'm completely in support of it. And I wanted to mention, to the point that was brought up about the role of elected officials and should we be doing this, I would say absolutely yes. We are elected to be the voice of Jefferson City to our constituents, and anything that impacts our citizens that's this big, we should absolutely be, all 10 of us, I think, very enthusiastically supporting something that would have such a huge economic development impact on our community. So I think that's absolutely our role. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sturgeon. Is there any other question or comment? Mr. Henry.
I fully agree with Councilwoman Turgeon and what she had mentioned, and also Mr. Hussey. But then, I question whether or not it has to be in the form of a resolution. And so that's where that discussion went in the admin meeting. I'll most likely will support this resolution tonight. But, we do need to sit down and figure out how do we best go about supporting these issues without always using a resolution. Thank you.
I'm going to let everyone else offer their comment, and then I'm going to offer mine. Has everyone spoken that wants to? Maybe you'll want to speak again after I speak. I don't know. But I guess I'm somewhat sympathetic to both, to all three, to Mr. Henry, Mr. Schulte, and Mr. Bray's comments, because I too have a little bit of a philosophical issue with resolutions. I really would not like the legislature to be offering a resolution to the Jefferson City Council suggesting what we should be doing in Jefferson City. And generally they don't. They just pass a law that tells us what to do. But nonetheless, I really don't feel that a resolution is our only vehicle, and obviously it hasn't been, because we've had a lobbyist for years and we haven't offered a resolution to offer guidance to the lobbyist. In fact, I think that guidance has come from our city attorney in the past and will probably continue to go from the city attorney in the future as we communicate and set policy that the city attorney then communicates to the lobbyist. So I see it more as a symbolic thing than anything else, and it's probably in this case it's symbolism that I will probably support, but in the future I'm going to be pretty judicious in resolutions that I choose to support and not support. I think that you can get to the point where resolutions don't even carry any symbolism anymore because they are coming so fast and frequent, and they become somewhat meaningless. And I do think that a pay increase for state employees is something I do support, and even though I may not support the idea of the resolution, I'm going to vote for it tonight, just I guess for symbolism more than anything else. Any other comments?
When is our next work session?
I don't know. Do you know, Mr. Hilbert?
You know, usually we hold them on the fourth Monday. We hadn't scheduled one for next week.
Is it scheduled for next week?
We haven't scheduled it for next week yet. We could hold it, otherwise it'd be in March.
Could we put, to discuss the role
Absolutely, if we can get
of our lobbyist?
You sure? We can, as long as we can get a quorum, we can do it next Monday, no problem. That would be the traditionally scheduled day.
Do we have anything else for an agenda?
I
item at
don't
this time?
think so.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
If I recall, bills and resolutions are roll call.
Yes.
Okay, and we've already got a motion to approve, so let's have roll call, please.
Turgeon,
Aye.
Branch,
Aye.
Bray,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Hussey,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Schulte,
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye. And the resolution passes. We have no presentations from the gallery scheduled. Council and staff discussion, new business. Was there any new business tonight? Any unfinished business? Then pursuant to,
Councilman Scrivener?
yes.
I did want to make, and I missed the announcements portion, but I want to announce again, and we talked about it last meeting, but there is going to be a benefit for city employee Catherine O'Neill, who was injured in a car accident on February 28th from 5 to 10 p.m. A spaghetti dinner will be held at McClung Park. Tickets are $10 or can be purchased in advance at City Hall window 202.
Okay,
Thanks.
very good. Thank you. That's February the 28th from 5 to 8, correct?
Yes.
Okay, then pursuant
5
to
to 10, I'm sorry,
section-
5 to 10 p.m.
Is it
February
5 to 10?
28th.
Okay.
February 28th, 5 to 10, I believe. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Pursuant to Section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri, the council will vote to go into closed session to discuss sealed bids, contracts, and related documents and contract negotiations. If I get a motion to go into closed session. We have a motion and a
Second.
second. And then roll call, please.
Branch,
Aye.
Bray, Graham,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Hussey, Prather,
Aye.
Schulte, Scrivener,
Aye.
Turgeon.
Aye.
Okay, we will adjourn across the hall.